What's going on YouTube? It's Ben Nader. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my channel again. The place where we talk about startups, recruiting, entrepreneurship, pretty much everything in between. And so if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. If you're already a subscriber, thank you. Just smash the like button for good measure because it boosts up the video. So I'd really appreciate that. But let's jump right into today's topic. This came to me from a fellow recruiter named Philip White, who I linked up with on guess it, LinkedIn, of course. And we started chatting. We were briefly discussing some hiccups in the recruiting process, and one of which is candidate preparation, coaching your candidate before their interview with your client. So this is huge. So I want to do a whole video just about this because it's massive and it will help you win 100 times over. If you don't have this piece in place, you definitely need to take notes or watch the video twice or whatever you need to do. But let's go. So I talked about a little bit of this before. First things first, the absolute number one thing you need to do is vet and interview your candidates 100%. So absolutely figure out them inside and out. Ask them all sorts of questions, vet them against the job description, vet them against their own experience, vet them against this new position, ask them questions like an FBI agent, like dig in there and figure out if they really know what they're talking about, trick them, double trick them, do all kinds of things to figure out if they know what they're talking about. And this is totally natural. Like, you're basically interviewing them for a position before they interview for a position. And to really win, you have to get this interview right before they're in the actual hot seat at the client's office. So vet them, interview them, know exactly who they are, and understand if they're the right candidate to even move forward. Then, if you truly want to win and you really want to have this candidate pass through your client, you need to know your client inside and out. So what I would suggest is either collecting a ton of information with your client over the phone. If you decide that you want to have in-person meetings and they're close enough or whatever, go ahead and do that. But get to know your client like this, like literally understand everything about your client, how they work operationally, what the hierarchy is, what caliber of people are they hiring there, what questions do they ask, just everything you need to know about that client. If you know your client inside and out, it's not going to be hard to get your candidate prepped. Now, one of the first things you need to do to prep your candidate is explain to them exactly what to say, what to talk about, what not to talk about, and specifically what will turn that client on to them and what would turn the client off of them. So if you prep them with that information, this is massive because they'll go in there knowing exactly what to do to ace the interview and get the position. And so that's all it takes in recruiting. Literally finding the match, getting the match to the client, having them check off on it and say, yes, we're going to hire them. If you can do that all day long, you're going to make 100 grand no matter what, like hands down, easy. Like, it'd be hard not to make 100 grand in a year doing that. So this is basics 101, but this is going to help you win 10 times over. So absolutely vetting that client and knowing what to tell your candidate, how to say things, how to act, and what they don't want to hear is going to be crucial. So furthermore from them, you need to prep the candidate on the job itself. So nobody should be doing this but you. The client should not be prepping the candidate when they come in the door on the position. The candidate should already know exactly what the position entails from start to finish, A to Z. They should know everything that they're doing in their duty, like what the job duty is, what their expectations are, like what the hours are, just the basic things, like all of the things that the position entails. This candidate should already know coming into the interview. If they don't, that's a huge red flag. Like if they're sitting there in the interview asking like, yeah, is this a night shift or day shift, or am I going to be working on this or am I going to be working on that? Like that client is going to get weary. Like we're just people. This is how we are. Like if someone gives us an unsteady feeling, like you're kind of just going to be like, okay, like, I'm not too sure about this person, right? So prep them on that position. Make sure they know the position inside and out so there's no shortfalls, right? Second thing you want to prep them on is the company itself. This is also massive because hiring managers are very dead set on getting the right people in the company for the right job, of course. But a lot of times they have a caliber that they want to hit, right? Caliber just meaning like a certain level or bar or threshold that they want this person to be at. So understanding how to prep them for that company is huge. So you need to know, like we said before, how that company works. how the hierarchy works, what they do, how they act, how they speak, what sort of business they conduct. Like, do they require, professional attire every single day? Do they speak a certain way? Do they act a certain way? I mean, what's the office vibe like? Might be worth it to take a visit to the office. I've visited several clients just to figure out how they work operationally, and happily the hiring manager has taken me on tours just to show me exactly what's going on there, because it's to their benefit and my benefit to understand exactly how they work. So prepping them on the company, just giving them a little bit of information like, hey, this is what they dress like, this is what they talk like, this is how they work, this is the pedigree of everyone there, and this is the kind of people that work there. So they know this information going in. So they shouldn't be blindsided. They should expect everything that they've already heard from you before they hear it from the actual client. Because if they get information from the client instead of you, it's generally bad. They should be getting it from you first. The last thing that you would want to prep them up on is the hiring manager themselves. So this is a person that you personally should sort of interview before you start sending over candidates, right? You want to have a good hiring manager. Like, you want to be like this with the company. You want to be like that with the hiring manager. Like, you need to know them inside and out. You need to understand what makes them tick, what really turns them on to a candidate, what turns them off, like how they speak, how they act, like all of those things personally about that individual, the hiring manager themselves, is going to reflect huge when you send over candidates, because what it's going to do is basically going to tell you whether you're going to get a match or not. Like, if you have Billy Bob over here and he speaks in a certain mannerism and he acts in a certain way, and then you have Jeff over here who's the hiring manager and he speaks in a certain way and acts in a certain manner, and it totally doesn't jive with what each other does, you might not make a good match. It's going to be more like this and not like this. So understand that you have to make perfect matches, and if there's not a perfect match there, make it a match. So explain to Billy Bob what he needs to do to change his attitude, his dress, his speak, everything he does when he comes in for the interview. He doesn't need to change who he is, right? We're not looking to change people's personalities or like who they are, but we're talking about the workplace here. So we're talking about like when you go to work, if you want this position, this is how you need to interview with Jeff. Like, that's how it's going to work to make a match like this. So it's pretty straightforward as far as like, vetting that hiring manager, knowing exactly how they tick, and then making sure that your candidate matches up with that so they have a good relationship. At the end of the day, that hiring manager has to see eye to eye with that candidate and say, yeah, that's somebody I can hire. Yeah, that's somebody I can, engage with and coach and teach. And they have to match with them as well. So they're not just matching with you. You're not just magically matching them with them. They have to match in real life once they get on site. So prepping them for that is critical. So I would say one of the number one things you could do to absolutely seal this with a bow and just make sure that it works 100% of the time is mock interview your candidate. Absolutely just sit down with them. If you're doing this in person, I do everything over the phone pretty much, so I would just do this over the phone. And I would say, all right, so just before tomorrow's interview, I'm going to do a quick mock interview with you because I know exactly what Jeff's going to ask you, and I know exactly the type of things that he's going to want to hear. And so how about we do a quick mock interview to make sure that we're perfectly lined up and we fix any issues before you head in tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I would ask them the questions I know Jeff's going to ask. I would ask him A, B, C, and I would find out exactly how his answers come across, and I would correct him where need be, and then I would make sure that he says the things Jeff is going to want to hear. He speaks the way Jeff's going to want to listen to. He doesn't say anything Jeff's not going to want to hear. Super important as well. And that mock interview should be an ace. And if that mock interview is an ace, the interview the next day will be an ace, and your candidate will get through the pipeline. They'll get hired. You'll get paid, right? At the end of the day, we're all just trying to get paid. We're trying to make sure that our candidate is a match and we have success on the client side, the candidate side, and of course our side as the recruiting agency. So mock interview the candidate. There's nothing wrong with doing this. I've done this many times. I've sat and literally just said, okay, I'm gonna do a quick mock interview with you and made sure that everything's good to go before the next day. So that's my solution to, etiquette in interviewing and prepping and coaching your candidate before they get to the doorstep of the client. This is super important. This is going to help you win. I would absolutely take notes. Like I said, watch this video twice if you need to. Interviewing your candidate and then sending him over with the resume is not the final step. You should absolutely be going through all of these different steps. I'll put a link in the description to all the questions that I put in and the descriptions of what I said you should do. But this is super important, so don't take this lightly. Prep your candidate to win, prep yourself to win. So that's all I've got today. I'm going to catch you guys tomorrow on Tuesday. Hope you're having an awesome start to your week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.